It's spring. For our students that received their acceptances already, they're making their final decisions. They're choosing the school that they'll be attending in the fall. And the other thing that's happening right now is that there's a group of applicants that are kind of stuck in limbo. Those are the students on a wait list. If you are one of those students that happens to find themselves on a wait list right now, stick around. If you're new, my name is Alice Foley. I'm the Director of Pre-Law Programming here at Barrier Breakers, a nonprofit organization dedicated to increasing access to higher education, and in my particular role, increasing that access through law school admissions support for first-generation and minority students. I am coming to this work with almost a decade of law school experience, and I spent a lot of time working with students that were on the wait list, talking them down, trying to explain the process as best as I could, because it's a strange process. Again, if you find yourself in this situation where you are trying to figure out what do you do? How do I live my life for the next few months? I'm hopefully going to give you a couple of good suggestions. If you're sitting there thinking that, I'm going to watch this video and it is going to tell me the one magical, all-encompassing answer for dealing with waitlist anxiety, I am really sorry. I am not that person. Quite honestly, I don't think that answer exists. I don't think there is any one thing. There are a couple of universals though. The first thing, and I really cannot stress this enough, being on the waitlist does not mean that you failed. Be proud that you got a waitlist decision. I know it's not an admit, and I know that's probably not what you were hoping for on the front end, but there is something in your application that the committee decided was worth looking at again. They can see you as a part of their law school community. They just want to sit with it a little bit longer. You have done a good thing. You have put in a strong application. Do not discount that. The second thing that's pretty universal is that most law schools are going to ask how long they can make you wait. Whether or not your answer is going to determine when you actually hear back from them is another story, but you will almost always find some type of language that asks, how long are you willing to stay here with us? And that's really what I want to talk about today, because this is a conversation that I've been having a lot. Law schools on the whole will admit students all the way up through orientation. I know for me, I didn't love having to do that. We tried very hard to clear our waitlist with plenty of time for students to pack up their lives, move into an apartment, get settled before they had to actually become law students. Sometimes it didn't always work out that way. We were not always successful. But like I said before, I know that future lawyers, I know that law students, myself included, we like a plan. We like to know what's happening. We like to know where we're going next. And a waitlist is kind of the opposite of that, particularly if you're looking at schools, if you're waiting to hear from schools that aren't geographically close to you. So as you find yourself in this position, you've gotten your waitlist decision, they've given you the instructions on how to say, yes, I would like to be on your waitlist. Whether it's because it's your dream school, whether it's because it's a school that you just want to have in the pocket, if there is a program or something that really drew you to that school, there's some reason that you're willing to put up with that uncertainty. I want you to keep that reason in mind throughout this whole chat, because that's important. So when you find yourself faced with this choice, how long do I stay on this wait list? When do I pull the plug? Do I wait it out? There are a couple of things that you have entire control of. A school is not going to say, well, if you are leaving in a month, we're just going to deny you right now. Most schools won't say that. They'll leave you on for the month and just go from there. But you have the control here. You are the one that's going to make the decision how long it is that you'll stay. So this is the first thing. This is what you want to look at first. How important is it to me as a future lawyer, as a future law student? How important is it to me that I attend this law school? How important is it that I am in this city, in this program, doing these things? If it is your top school, if it is the number one choice for you, that's important to know. If it's a school that's midway down your list and it'd be cool, but you're kind of you don't have to wait the whole time. No one's going to force you to do that. If you want it there as some reassurance, or you're hoping that they may pull you up and you can use it to leverage a scholarship somewhere else, fine. As an aside, most of the time waitlist scholarships are smaller than direct admit students, so keep that in mind. If you are waiting to make the decision based entirely on money, I would recommend that you chat to your admissions officers at the school that you're thinking about, because they may be able to tell you whether or not scholarships are an option for students that started out on the wait list. After you have figured out where this school is in the realm of importance to you, and this is entirely up to you. It doesn't have to be based on rankings. It doesn't have to be based on prestige. It doesn't have to be based on anything other than this is the school that I want to attend the most. Whatever your metrics are that you've used to rank the schools that you have chosen to apply to, that's what matters. So think about it through that lens as you were trying to figure out, how important is it to me The next thing that I want you to think about, and I want you to think hard about this because it's tough for people like us. How comfortable are you with uncertainty? I wasn't kidding when I said that law schools will occasionally pull all the way up through orientation. I had at least 2 or 3 students over the course of my career, like the day before. It was not something that I set out to do. It was not something that I was particularly happy about having to do, because I can only imagine how stressful it is for a student to say, hey, congratulations, you got in, we need you here in 24 hours. Also, by the way, you need to pay your seat deposit like yesterday. And here's your orientation schedule. Good luck. Like, that's a lot of information to take in and not a whole lot of time to process it. With that in mind, if you are comfortable with this, if you're like, yeah, sure, whatever, like I got my car loaded, I'm either going here or I'm going here, I'll decide the day of. I have other questions about how you live your life. But if that is something that you're totally fine with, if you're good, just kind of going with the flow here, that's awesome. And you can stay for as long as you feel comfortable. You can say, I'll stay till you close it up. That's an option. If you are like me, and you are like most of the applicants that I have dealt with in my career, and that degree of uncertainty is not a thing we love. We don't like not knowing what's going on the day after. You can sit down and think about what makes sense to you. There are a couple of factors that go into this. I mentioned having the car packed and just choosing where you're gonna go. That's a lot easier if you're going someplace close, or if you don't have to worry about changing the place where you live. So those students that I was talking about that were admitted like the day before, we tried desperately to extend offers like that to students that were geographically close. So if you are considering a law school that's across the country from you, I admire your fortitude, but the idea of waiting until the day before I need to be somewhere to have to make a cross-country trip is kind of my nightmare. So if that's you, don't say you're going to stay there the whole time. Be realistic. Just like the admissions officers have been there to help you throughout the process up to now, they can help you here too. Waitlists are a weird, nebulous kind of beast, so it's hard to give concrete answers to most questions. And in my experience, it's as frustrating for admissions officers as it is for you. I would love to be able to say, yes, by this date, everything will be done. Or you will hear one way or another by this time. The problem is, though, that waitlists are not that concrete. They are so dependent on movement within the class up to that point, up to the point that we are making that decision, that it is nearly impossible to give you any kind of concrete information that may not change the following day. And the other thing that we don't ever want to do as admissions officers is give you the wrong information when we know it'll be wrong. Things change, we're not perfect. But if we can help it, we're going to say something along the lines of, well, this is what's happened in the past. Or typically this is how this works, or this is the schedule we're aiming for. Use that information. While it may not be concrete, it can be helpful. Use that information as you are thinking through, how comfortable am I waiting until the day before I need to start law school? And I promise the admissions officers are happy to talk to you. I've said this a million times. As long as you are nice, they will be nice back. Because we are in fact real humans. We can't promise everybody will be thrilled with how it turns out, but we do try to make it not completely miserable. And if answering questions for you makes it less miserable, that's what we're going to try to do. So as you are deciding how comfortable am I waiting for a long time, talk to the admissions officer, see if they can give you any information that may help you make that decision, that may help you gauge how long it is gonna take. The other thing that you may want to consider are what your other options look like. If you have a school that you're super happy about, admitted you, that's given you a scholarship that you're like, yeah, of course I'm going to pay my seat deposit. And there's this one school that waitlisted you, but is like, this is all I ever wanted in my life. I don't care. They can admit me the day after class starts, but like I will go there. That's an okay place to be in. It's not out of the realm of possibility in most cases, and it's not completely in most cases. For you to have a school that you are happy to attend, to pay a deposit there, and if your dream school admits you from the waitlist later on, you understand you lose that seat deposit that you paid. But if that's the choice for you, you can cover. You can ensure that you're going to law school somewhere. So chances are it's probably a lot easier for you to wait on that wait list if you know you have a seat somewhere else. My old colleagues from admissions will probably be very mad at me for saying that it's fine to deposit somewhere else with an idea of going to another school. It's not a great practice on the whole. It's also going to be expensive for you because you will not get that seat deposit back. And it will likely make someone else have a bit of a headache as they try to fill the spot that you just vacated. But on the flip side, the spot that you just vacated may go to somebody on their wait list. And in that case, this is not at all what we're talking about today, but it's just good practice. If you have chosen not to attend a law school that has admitted you, please tell them that you were not coming. You're holding space and you know that you're not going to go there. 2, you're probably still getting a bunch of emails that you don't want to get if you're not going to that law school. But most importantly, and particularly why it's relevant today, is that you are taking up space. You are taking up space that may be someone else's seat that's on the wait list right now. There may be somebody that's in an identical position to you, just with different schools, and you affirmatively saying, I am not going to attend your law school, makes space for that person that is waiting on their dream school to get back to them. When you make your choice, let the schools know. If you are still deciding, that's fine. But if you know categorically, I am not going to this school, tell somebody, preferably somebody in the admissions office. So we've talked through having plan B. You've got your school that you've been admitted to that you'd be happy to attend if you don't get admitted to your dream school. You're sitting on the wait list at the dream school. Having that in your back pocket, that admission, that seat in a class that's right here, makes it a whole lot easier to just sit and wait here. And that's fine. A lot of students that I worked with, a lot of students that I dealt with while I was an admissions officer, that was the plan that they had. They had a school that they would attend if they had to. It'd be fine. They weren't like miserable, but they were waiting to hear from my school because that's really where they wanted to be. The other thing that I want you to think about is what are the other responsibilities that are going into your life right now? Do you have a family to move with you? Do you have a job that you're planning to leave that you need to work out departure from? Are you planning to sell a house? Are you planning to rent a house? Are you doing things that are not at all related to the logistics of attending law school and the logistics of accepting your decision to law school? What else have you got going on there? If realistically you need a month to wind stuff up regardless of where you're going to law school, give yourself the month. I'm really excited. I really love your school. I am very likely going to be able to stay on the wait list until this date. That's fine. That's what we want to know as admissions officers. We want to know how long you can wait. So once you figure that out, the last thing that I really want you to pay attention to, and I've touched on it a little bit because it comes into play in a lot of the other things that you should be considering, is geographic proximity. Friends, driving cross country in a day is difficult. Don't make yourself do that. Booking a flight 24 hours before you need to be in the air is expensive. If you are on the wait list at a school that is within reasonable driving distance for you, you can push it out for as long as you want. I'm willing to stay on the wait list until the wait list closes. I'm willing to stay on the wait list until the day before orientation. You can say those things. That's fine. If you're sitting on a wait list in a school across the country, though, you need to think hard about how you're going to get there. Because one of the fun facts that isn't always made abundantly clear in communications to admitted students, particularly late admits, is that orientation isn't really an option. You don't get to just opt out most of the time. So if you have 24 hours to get yourself from point A to point B, and point A and point B are 17 hours apart, that's a lot of logistical planning that I wouldn't want to do. I wouldn't want to be scrambling to make sure that I have clothing to wear, that I have a place to stay, that I've got money for books, that I've got an idea of where I'm going, that I know the city, that I know what I need for orientation. Because the other fun thing is that a lot of times orientation has homework. Law school's a weird bird, friends. It's a lot. So these are things that are difficult to do with no warning, no time to plan. In the in-between of all of these things, that space between I can wait for a week and let me know as soon as you can, but I'll stay here till school starts. There are a whole host of things that can happen. There are a whole host of things that require you to make choices. You got accepted at the school that is fine. You're happy. You would probably do fine there. No problem. It's just not your dream school. But they have a summer program that you've been invited to attend, or they have a preview thing that you have to sign up for by a certain date, and it says that you are for sure coming. There are a whole host of things that can happen throughout the summer that may require you to make that decision early. So I really want you to think about your responsibilities, both to your family and yourself. And that's I can't move house in 24 hours, and I have a partner and a child and a dog and a cat that I need to move cross country with me, to an invitation to join a program that's hosted by your school, or a family vacation that's been planned forever, or just a solo vacation that you're treating yourself to before you start doing this difficult thing. Take a realistic look at the responsibilities that you have as you are starting to make this decision. If there is something that requires you to make it sooner than you would like to, figure out which one gets to flex, basically. If it is your dream school, if this is the only school in the world where you will be just so happy that there's no other place that you can see yourself attending law school, there's no other place that can give you the things that you need from a law school. Maybe we look and see at what responsibilities that take you away earlier in the summer. Maybe there are some of those that can leave, or maybe there are some of those that can shift. Make that decision. There is no one right answer here. It is all down to what is best for you. Talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to the people that you value their opinion. If you're not totally sure how to make the decision on your own, hopefully writing down the things that I've just talked about will be helpful. But there is no harm in seeking out alternative opinions from the people that you trust and the people that you care about. Talk it over, particularly if you're not the only person that's going to have to make the moves to deal with whatever choice you make. Talk to your partner, your kids, if it's going to affect them. Think about what is best for you, for your family. So as you're thinking through, what's the best choice for me? How long can I wait it out? You really have a couple of things that you need to pay attention to. 1, how important is the school to you? 2, what are your alternatives? 3, how comfortable are you with uncertainty? How flexible can you be? And 4, what are the other responsibilities that may require you to make the decision by a certain date, whether or not you want to? Running through all of those things and talking to the admissions office to see if they can give you any kind of timeline, even if it's a general, a vague one. They may be able to say, yeah, we're absolutely going to be done with our waitlist by this day. Or barring anything strange, we're going to try and have all the decisions out by X date. However, in past years, we have sometimes had to run it up through this date. Most places aren't trying to hide the ball from you there, so they'll tell you if you ask. And you ask politely. I hope that, if nothing else, having a couple of different things to consider as you make these decisions, as you figure out what makes the most sense for you. I hope this is helpful. I hope, for your sake and mine, and our little things must be planned out hearts, this can ease some stress, it can ease some anxiety as you sit through and you actually sit down and make these choices. If it has been helpful, or if you do think that this will be helpful to you, please like and subscribe. If you have a friend that's dealing with the same thing, please share it with them. Talk soon.